Welcome, everybody, to Den Excelsior, the mostly Marvel podcast. I'm your host, Ricky. Yeah, we're apparently the biggest barbed wire podcast ever.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you, but that is an awesome thing.
That's Dennis, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, I already talked. Thanks for introducing me.
We're talking the Penguin Agatha, Penguagatha.
Penguagatha All Along.
Yeah, Penguagatha All Along.
We're talking about let's be honest here. We're talking about some quality comic book TV content that we are getting served.
It's a good time to be a nerd.
It's a great time to be a nerd.
The Joker 2 comes out on Max in like a week.
Are you serious already?
Yeah, it's not gonna make it a month. So
wow,
all of the comic book content at your disposal for October.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool time. So I'm excited to talk about those. And we can also chat about whatever spoopy stuff you've been watching besides football. Have you been watching spoopy stuff?
I haven't.
No.
I
love me some spoops.
Do you watch Long Legs?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
No.
That was the only scary thing I saw in theaters this year. No, I guess that was the only scary movie I went to go seeing it.
I've heard by trusted source Stubes on TikTok that The First Omen is the scariest movie released this year.
Was that the Sydney Sweeney one? No,
that is Immaculate, which was actually pretty good. Not scary so much, but gory.
Is it still Devil Baby?
I believe so. I'm gonna watch it. I have it on my queue.
I like a good Devil Baby movie.
Yeah.
What was the the Exorcism of Emily Rose?
I never watched that.
Or Eli Roth. Was that Zack Snyder or Eli Roth? That's another good one. It's a good POV exorcism movie.
Gotcha. So, I was curious. You recommended In a Violent Nature to me. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my queue, Amazon, or it's on AMC Plus right now. Excuse me. But I was curious because Stubes actually was saying if you like that one, you should watch Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is the better version of that movie. And I'm curious, have you ever seen that movie?
I don't know who Leslie Vernon is.
Well, that's because he has to rise in that movie.
Oh. No, I'm not.
You should watch that one. That is.
Have you seen that one?
Yes.
Okay.
That is an excellent movie.
I've never heard of that movie. Is it old? Is it new?
I think it's like 2011. I think now it's not that new anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong about the date on that one, but somebody in the comments can correct me. I watched it a couple of years ago, like maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and I was thoroughly entertained by that one. It is an excellent movie that really pays a lot of homage to the horror genre and is very meta, very self-referential. Like it just understands what we all like about horror movies, but also it presents it in a new funny way.
Okay.
Like it's pretty cool. I like movies that can subvert like that. Like you ever seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
The movie is hilarious. It's more a comedy than a horror, but
I'm not a big like horror comedy person.
Like basically you've seen a movie where a bunch of college students go out to the Appalachians and get horribly murdered, right?
Yes.
This movie is presented from the point of view of two hillbillies that are just misunderstood through the whole damn movie. And so these college students keep assuming that these guys are like crazy axe murderers and stuff. And so they keep running away from them in terror. And then they accidentally end up getting killed like a kid will run into a tree branch and impale himself on accident. And it's just because the guy was like trying to, use a chainsaw on some wood, and he accidentally hit a beehive, and now he's running around crazy with the chainsaw in his hands, and he looks like a crazy, murderer, like Leatherface or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty harmless thing that happened to him. And so the whole movie is just college students getting horribly massacred by no fault other than their own. And
I
it's
want
pretty
to
funny.
like. I don't want to say I'm not a big excessive gore fan,
Oof.
because I am, but I don't like Terrifier and that stuff. It doesn't. I'm not even like grossed out by it. It just seems like uberly silly.
Yeah.
And to be fair, In a Violent Nature has like a crazy ass gory death scene, but somehow I it's refined. It's like what's the other movie? Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's some good gore. I think Saw 1, some excellent
Yeah.
meat getting chopped up, but I'm trying to think of like what is actually the difference between that and like a silly gory death.
So I'll give you a little bit of context on
Mm-hmm.
how I perceive that kind of stuff. When I was a kid, and it dates me for sure. There's this funny movie. It's a comedy. It's called Summer School. It's not a horror movie at all. It's about this guy, gym coach who has to, he gets stuck with the summer class. I think it's teaching English or whatever to all the people who flunked it, whatever. And you get a wide mix of people in summer school classes that have to retake the class for sure. But two of the characters are these two guys that are just like super into gore. They just love horror movies. They are obsessed with horror movies, and all they want to do in their lives is after they get out of school, they want to create the makeup effects that create gore, right? Like, and so they have a fun segment in the because it's a coming of age, like the teachers finding out how to connect with all these students, and so everybody gets their chance to shine. And there's a moment in the movie where these two teenagers get to like put on their own super gory like show, like moment. And it's so cool because I was a kid when I watched this movie, and I thought to myself watching this, they perfectly explained to me what gore is in movies. It's art, right? It's a form of art. It's a form of people had to create that gore. Like, and it's a lot of love or sometimes laziness that goes into it. But like, ever since I saw that, I've never been able to look at gore and actually feel the correct visceral responses that you're supposed to feel, because instead I'm appreciating the art form of it. And so I like it all. Like, I'll take all the gore. I don't care what it is.
I
But
guess I need the more real the better.
Some looks worse than others, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do prefer the more practical effects to the CG effects. So I'm always a little bummed when I see like, a blatant use of After Effects to make a sword go through somebody or something like that. Anything like that. But I'll take it all. So Terrifiers, I love them for the gore, and they are out of control with the gore. Plot, not so much. Not so much on the plot. You know what I mean? But I think I do lower a bar when I watch horror movies. Like, I think that's why I like October so much, because I'm kind of a dick when it comes to movies and stuff. Sometimes I get a little overly critical. I think you've been helping me shed some of those layers these last few months, but I lower my bar so low.
They're fun. I mean, I think part of they're fun movies, and they're fun. Horror movies are always a fun shared experience. Like, I will always love to go see a scary movie in the theaters if I can. That is like the best time.
I love watching people's reactions to scary moments and stuff like that. Yeah. So I binged all of the Insidious sequels this week. None of them are as good as the first one, but they're all right. They're all right. They're PG-13, which always is a downer for me. That it means you're not going to get gore, but but I'm glad that I've watched them now. Yeah. But the more fun thing I watched recently, hard to call it officially a horror, But if you have not seen It's What's Inside on Netflix, check that movie out. It is stylish, it is clever, and it will leave you scratching your head. Like it's
What's Inside.
Mm-hmm.
What's inside that movie?
I don't really want to spoil that movie for you.
Oh,
but it's kind of like a bunch of people get together for a party game, and that party game goes off the rails really quickly.
So Jumanji.
Sure. Rated R Jumanji. How about that?
I'd watch that. Yeah, sure.
But there's no animals. There's no animals in it. But party game off the rails for sure. Yeah. It has Jumanji qualities, though. I'll give you that. It does. Yeah.
Well, aside from scary stuff, what else have you been binged on? Or is it just all spooky? Are you caught up on Only Murders?
Yeah. But you know what? I kind of let Only Murders kind of works because there's murders. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it works in the way that It's What's Inside works too. Like, there's at least there was a prerequisite amount of deaths that occurred for it to exist during my Halloween spooktacular marathon. So yes, I'm caught up on Only Murders in the Building, and I love it. It's an excellent show. I will say honestly, like The Penguin is like the one show that I'm always like, you're not horror. But then sometimes people get murdered, and I'm like, all right, you're good enough. You know, it's good enough.
It's definitely I'm happy that we're getting to experience that Batman universe in a, I don't want to say unrated setting, but like, you know, a more adult setting. Because like imagine the Nolan stuff, but like rated R Nolan.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'll still to this day nitpick the fact that Netflix and Disney decided to make The Punisher not have any swearing besides shit and damn. Like that. No, you do not get murdered by The Punisher without yelling out all the expletives. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'll give kudos to Max. Like the Snyder cut is unrated. Like there's some gore moments or some violent moments in that movie that I don't think we would have gotten otherwise. So it's nice that this stuff has a home.
I honestly don't remember, and one day I should go back and rewatch our entire viewing that we did where we recorded it together, because I don't remember that gore you're talking about. I don't. I was very drunk when we watched that movie. As a reminder,
like very murder Steppenwolf in that movie.
As a reminder, we played a drinking game while we watched that all 4 hours. I don't remember much of that movie.
Good times, early times in the show.
Yes, but I do not recall anything I binged this week other than Only Murders in the Building that was not of the horror variety. Yeah, so
I commend you.
It's What's Inside.
I think I've gone like this whole October without doing scary stuff.
I have to watch at least one thing. You know what? I do watch The Legend of Vox Machina. That's a great show, but I'm not caught up on it. Have you seen that one?
Everyone talks about it. Nope, it's the D&D show.
Yeah, I know you don't like fantasy. There is sex and violence in it though, so it counts. It counts. They go to hell in this season. They go to hell. What?
It's fantasy though.
Yeah, but they have sex and violence in it, so
to be fair, that argument is like why I watched the first 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. The math checks out. Sex, violence.
I don't know if that's fantasy. The kind of sex that people get enticed to, but it did work. Even though it was incestuous in Game of Thrones, it did get a lot of viewers.
The checkbox says boob.
That's fair.
It gets the checkbox.
I think Tyrion was hooking up in a brothel here or something like that. Yeah, so it wasn't just the incest stuff. But yeah.
But
I get it. You don't like fantasy. It's fine. But Vox Machina it's pretty damn entertaining show. It's like well-written version of a D&D campaign, like that's what it is. So there is all the comedy and stuff and silliness, and there are characters that choose to play, their character's super dumb. Others are playing it super hardcore, and you get that whole mix, and you get a bard that just looking
Sounds
to
like our group.
screw, and yeah, exactly. And when everybody who watches Vox Machina can look at it and say, that sounds like our group, because that's what it feels like to a lot of people, Yeah, that's the charm. That's the charm of the show.
Well, let's charm our audiences with a little bit of news. This week, happy New York Comic Con.
There's all my
to those who celebrates.
happy what?
New York Comic Con.
Oh, it's New York Comic Con.
Yeah, New York Comic Con. You've been to New York Comic Con, right?
I have. I've never gone to any panels there though.
No. James Gunn this week shared a photo from the upcoming now titled just Superman movie. And in this photo is a very lovely dog named Crypto. So
wait, did they change the title?
They dropped the legacy.
It's just Superman now?
Yes.
Oh.
So technically, it's the only movie ever to be titled Superman.
Was the original called Superman the movie?
Yes. That is the title of that movie.
That's stupid. I mean, that's dumb that it was called Superman the movie.
I mean, it was the 80s, right? So, or 70s.
I didn't really ever think about the fact that it's called Superman the movie. That's super
I mean, you guys did a lot of movies, did a lot of dumb shit back then.
That's true. They did. All right. Okay, so if that one's called Superman the movie, then I'm totally fine with this one being called Superman. I was kind of more on the fence about that name if it was doing the same name as the original, but we know that there's way more than just Superman in this movie. That was going to make me feel weird that it's also introducing a whole universe, you know what I mean? But if they've never actually made a movie called Superman before, then sure, cool, do it. That's awesome. I'm down. I'm down for it.
You're down.
All right. I love every image that James Gunn releases of this movie. It's just chef's kiss to me, man. Look at that cape. Look at that dog.
The cape does look good.
That cape looks so good. That dog looks like a dog, a white dog.
The bar seems to be relatively low for Superman, but I think the people just want to see an actual Superman be Superman for again, right? We haven't had that probably since Christopher Reeves. There were glimmers
but it's not just that. Like, I like the color. Look at how much color is in this image.
Oh yeah.
It's so much vibrant color, and I think that's, for me, one of the big things we were missing from that Snyderverse is like he would just desaturate the crap out of every scene in those movies, and it's just like, but Superman's supposed to look like his mom made his costume for him. It's supposed to inspire you to feel joy and hopefulness and stuff, and it's just like, it's almost just so muted that it's just like, it's practically black with the slightest bit of red in that, and it's, come on, man. It's red and blue. Like, I think that was one of the most adorable things about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is before Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, every superhero movie felt, we can't do the costume legit. Like, that's not, you can't do that. And then Sam Raimi said, F that. We're going hard red and blue. And people were just like, oh my God, it works, so
you get the thing, right? Like, I don't need every costume to be accurate, but you just gotta do it once, a frame. I need to see it. I need to know that they tried it, and the characters on screen could say it looks dumb, and I'll be happy with that.
I'm still waiting for the day when they do it with Batman. I think Tim Burton just set such a drastic tone that, like, no one is Everyone has been afraid to drift too far from Tim Burton.
The Batfleck costume, I kind of like the Batfleck costume.
I don't. It's all muted. It's all muted though. It's all
got
muted.
the fat bat.
Everything in the Snyderverse is muted too far. Too far.
His there's images out there of his Batman suit from his movie, or what would have been his standalone Batman movie, and that one actually looks really good. A little bit like the Arkham Asylum suit.
I mean, I like those for that game, but it's also quite muted. A lot of the colors in that universe.
Yeah.
What
do you want? A gray Batman, black cape, gray Batman, blue cape?
I want gray and blue, man.
Yellow symbol.
I don't know that I need the yellow symbol, but gray and blue would be pretty cool with a little bit of like a yellow belt. Maybe.
There's a gray and blue bat suit back there.
In the Flash, no, muted.
In the background.
Muted. That is an ugly suit, dude. Okay, that is really ugly, especially up close when you see them talking to each other. I'm not saying it's as bad as some of his other suits in that universe, but it's still not.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get me to say something nice about Batfleck. I know you try so often. I don't like Batfleck. I don't like it. I've never liked it since the beginning. I'll take Christian Bale all day, every day. I don't even think he's the best thing we could ever get. Pattinson's pretty good too, but I just think everyone's too afraid to revisit the land of Adam West, and I think there's some cool stuff.
Well, maybe James Gunn could take us there.
I think I don't want to go full Adam West, just to be clear. There's a happy middle ground somewhere.
But it's, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. You have certain comic book characters that just need to keep having movies put out.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. Like, we're in a cool spot where we're going to have 2 Batmans going on. And that's amazing. We have a really good Spider-Man right now. And I'm hoping we can now have the same with Superman, because that is, again,
we might get 2 Spider-Man simultaneously too. In fairness, we do have Miles also,
we have Miles cooking.
Those are great movies too. So,
but it's like our America's Bond, right? That's our contribution to media, is these characters. So we need to have them out there.
True. We're doing our duty as Americans for sure.
Next little bit of Marvel news. They're coming out with this new line of trade paperbacks. Actually, DC just did this, so it's funny to see them like copy their idea, but it's a really cool idea. They're basically taking some of Marvel's sacred storylines and putting them out in trade paperbacks that are essentially like manga size, like 6x9s.
Oh, interesting.
So typically, a trade paperback's like a big
8.5 by 11 kind of.
Beautiful. You get really nice pages, but they're big and a little cumbersome. These are more in line with like what a traditional book is in size.
Yeah.
But they're putting out some of their best stories out in this format, and hopefully they'll continue putting stories out in this format.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that, because like, are they resizing the font? Because like, it's kind of small for certain stories.
I've seen the DC ones, and they do it. It's basically a resized page because it does scale down to that size.
Yeah.
But the font does look adjusted.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. That's
You're going to get Daredevil Born Again, Black Panther, A Nation Under Our Feet, and Fantastic Four Solve Everything. So,
yeah, I would rather just have them as the trade paperback size, but with its original size or blown up. Like I have a blown up version of Batman Hush, so you can just really see all the details, because they draw them on a much bigger piece of paper, and then it gets scaled down for the comics.
Well, sometimes you want them. Not everyone's shelf is as big as yours.
Fair enough. I get that. It's definitely a cool way to market to like like the Japanese audience. They're constantly space is an issue for all the things that they
for anyone. You can now put this like in a I'm saying normal bookstore, but
Yeah,
it can live in more places than it couldn't have before.
True. Yeah.
And
or you could just read it digitally.
Or you could read it digitally.
Then you don't have to take up any space at all.
True. But I think you've been, as we round up the news, taking up a lot of space. I have to give credit where credit's due. You've been taking up space on Marvelous News. I've been going through the website getting news for the show, and you're literally like 6 or 7 of the last photos of the day.
I know. Isn't that cool? It's not just cool. That too. I've also been on Toy News Toy News Toy News International, I think .com. And I've also been on Jedi Insider once. Yeah.
Well, congrats. Keep it up. The month's a little over halfway done.
I was bummed. I was bummed. Today was the first day. The picture I posted today for October, it's the ACBA challenge. Today was the first day I posted a picture that I couldn't really submit to Toy News.
You had nudity.
It just wasn't. It wasn't that I had nudity. It's that it didn't. It wasn't pertaining to any specific, like, Jedi Insider is only Star Wars stuff. Marvelous News is only Marvel stuff. Like,
well, who's figures with? I've seen the soft
Fison, aka TB League. Yeah, they both.
Who's the head?
The heads they came with.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. They like. That's why I was like, I don't know if I mean, I still could post it to that website and see what happens, but I do appreciate that. I think the photo I put out today, I think, is a really cool photo, and it's something I want to do more of, which is just play with things that aren't necessarily somebody else's IP. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the beauty of those toys, is that you can just tell your own stories that don't have, characters that somebody else created. And they're nude too. So, but thanks. I appreciate the shout out. Yeah, I've been working my butt off on pictures. I wouldn't say all of them are like the best thing ever, but like, I definitely think they're a lot better than the ones I put out last year, and I've had a lot of fun. And so if you follow me on DenX Media on Instagram, you can check out at the end of this month all 31 entries I did for October. It's a different prompt every day. Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the ones that come out.
Check it out. And check out the spotlight.
Ricky, I'm gonna put this out there.
The juice is running out.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, you seem a little low, bro. You seem a little low.
We haven't recorded this in a minute.
Put the pep in your step. Put the pep.
Well, we're gonna kick it into gear, right? We're talking about some 2 really great shows, Agatha and Penguin.
Agatha All Along and the Penguin.
What are you picking? What do you want to go for? What do you want to wet your whistle with?
You know what?
First,
let's do it fair. Let's go in order. Let's go. Because the Penguin came out on Sunday. I mean, everybody's been talking about it for like 4 days now. Let's get that one out of the way. Agatha just came out yesterday. It's a little fresher, so we'll save that one for last. But the Penguin came out, and I've been telling you for weeks now, right? Just give me the Sophia show. I just want the Sophia show. Wow, did we get the Sophia show right this week? Episode 4.
Oh yeah.
Sentania.
4 out of 8, right? So we're halfway through.
Sentani is the name of the episode. Yeah, 4 out of 8. Oh damn, what a good halfway point, right? Where we got to see the little interaction with the Maronis from Sophia's point of view at the beginning of the episode, which was rough to watch. That, right? Like that poor girl just poured her heart out.
Any goodwill with Oz that Oz had,
right,
with the audience and with her, it is gone.
It's just gone in an instant, so fast, right? And then what we proceed to get is the amazing flashback that answers all the questions I've been asking this whole season, right? Like, is she the Hangman Killer? Did she actually do it? Like, what? why'd she go to prison? You know what? Like all these things. Like
Mhm.
why does her family treat her like that? Like everything that I wanted to know got answered in one episode. Instead of me gushing over it, you just tell me what your favorite parts of this were.
Well, I did appreciate the backstory of and just seeing all of the pieces that fell around her that led her to her position and ultimately makes her who she is right now. It's very nuanced. It's very it's very character driven because you're with her the whole time from her perspective on like just oh my god the shittiness that her the shitty person that her dad is, and then when you start thinking about it in the broader sense, Catwoman's mom was also strangled, right? She was definitely murdered by him, Carmine.
Uh, yeah, I
Because
think so.
they're
I think
half
so.
sisters.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think they implied that her mom was strangled, but definitely her friend in the Batman was strangled to death by Carmine.
strangled.
Remember? So we already
And
kind of had the hint in the Batman. Hey, this guy likes to strangle women.
yeah,
You know?
and
So
there you
and he
kind
was
of
trying
get
to strangle her too when Batman saves her, right? Like he was trying to
totally,
strangle,
totally.
Catwoman.
But
So
you also get like start seeing really seeing how everything's connected, right? We know Oz was her driver.
mhm.
Um, he's the one that kind of tipped everyone off, like, hey, this your daughter's looking in places where she shouldn't be looking.
Yeah, we kind of saw the moment where she treated Oz a little less than, and he
Hmm.
responded in kind by narking on her, right? Like that was rough because they were pretty tight before that, but she treated him like the help at one point, and that came back
But
to bite
then
her in the ass.
what did Oz start getting out of it, right? He eventually, like, it all comes around where the iceberg lounge was essentially a feeding place for women for Carmine.
Hmm.
So it gets really tied in a gross way, but it's and you just can't look away. Her
Hmm.
performance was amazing.
Her performance, that was an Emmy. That was an Emmy for sure. I mean,
Selling the
sometimes you watch,
eyes.
yeah, sometimes you watch stuff on TV, like you watch Nick Offerman on The Last of Us, and you're like, "Yup, that guy's getting an Emmy."
Well,
You watch The Bear, and you're like, "Well, they're all getting Emmys." You know what I mean? Sometimes you
this
just
show,
see it and you
like,
know it. You know it.
the costume design Emmy is done. Like it's
Oh, that yellow dress was
well, not even like on the penguin alone is like
all her clothes, honestly.
no,
Yeah,
but
the penguin looks, yeah.
the fact that that's Colin Farrell is still it's still
Oh,
insane. Like
oh, that's, yeah. I think that's more makeup than costuming, but yeah, sure. It's all they're getting multiple Emmys for the show, but I will I will lose my shit if Kristen Milotti does not get at least nominated for an Emmy for this show. Like that's all. That's all I'm saying. It would be nice if, Colin Farrell also got nominated. It would be nice if the makeup, the wardrobe people, all that were also nominated. Um, I want a lot of things for this show, but if Kristen Milotti does not get nominated for an Emmy, I don't I don't understand quality television, I guess. That's just what it comes down
this will be under the best comedy section. So
to.
it
Air.
is a funny show sometimes.
I mean, The Bear won all the comedy awards. That show is not a comedy anymore, okay? Like, if it ever was. So, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, no, it
Well,
was a fantastic episode, and like you said, like the whole time I was watching it, I was like piecing together the puzzle. I was like, "Oh yeah, man. They did give us a lot of hints in the Batman that Carmine totally liked to strangle women." And I honestly didn't mind Mark Strong's portrayal of younger.
it works. It works
Yeah,
for the
it worked.
younger.
He still tried to look like the Carmine we know, you know what I mean? Like, they
Mhm.
still costumed him up to look like it, so I was
Mark
okay with it.
Strong has never given a bad performance in a DC movie.
And dude, his Sinestro is the best part of Green Lantern. It really is. Like, it was an amazing role, even if it was super frustrating
The
to
best part of
know that he was
Shazam.
gonna turn evil. He's not the best part of Shazam, although I'm done defending that movie.
Oh,
no, not anymore. No thanks.
okay.
Done defending Shazam. Yeah, but Mark Strong, that guy, you dude, if we made a comic book movie, we could call up Mark Strong right now and he'd say, yeah, I'll do it. I just feel like that's where he is when it comes to.
You need a cool bald guy.
When he gets offered a comic book movie part, he does it. He just does it. He's in so many comic book movies, dude. He's in a lot. But he's great every time. And so yeah, I was really hesitant to see somebody other than John Turturro play Carmine Falcone. But once I saw it, I was like, yeah, this works. And you could tell the moment that he walked in on Sophia, like, who had just found her mother dead, you could tell he did it because, like, his reaction was like, oh, you shouldn't see this. Not, oh, my wife's hanging here dead in the bedroom. You know, like, that just made me feel gross when I saw that. I was like, ugh. And then you sent your daughter to prison for your crimes. That's messed up, man. That's some cold shit right there. So, but I did, and I also really enjoyed seeing that, like, everybody in the family kind of sold her out to varying degrees.
Well, yeah,
except for Alberto.
We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet.
Well, I mean, it kind of implies that Alberto was the only one that gave a shit about her. Like, he was the one visiting her in prison. He was the one that was surprised by things. And then, so it just makes it more, whether or not it's true, it makes it more sad that she lost the only person that she looked forward to seeing after she got out of prison.
Yes.
Right. That's a downer. So it doesn't really matter. It's a moot point if he actually did betray her or not, like, ever. She was so looking forward to meeting, up with him, and oops, Penguin killed her. And now she knows. And now she knows that Penguin killed him too. Like, that's even
that's the other crazy part. Like, all the dominoes fell down this episode.
Yeah.
And now it's pretty much going to be the Oz versus Sophia show for the next 4 weeks.
Yes.
And you're kind of now rooting for Sophia?
I'm absolutely rooting for Sophia, like, I will say this was the funniest thing about watching this week's episode with my wife, Lindsay. She had a really cool observation about the Penguin that I really appreciated, because she says she was watching all the chaos go on, right, with everything that Oz is dealing with all the time. And she's like, I feel like Oz just doesn't got time for Batman. Like, he must be really annoyed by Batman, because he's like managing so many, he's like juggling all these other plates, right? Like, he's constantly doing all this other stuff to get things going, get fires in the iron, like, and then Batman just shows up and messes his shit up. And I'm like, you know what? I have never heard somebody more accurately describe what the Penguin is than that. That is absolutely Penguin's relationship.
He's the scheme guy. He's scheming.
He's always annoyed when Batman shows up, because Penguin's not out there robbing banks or knocking over liquor stores.
He's making moves.
Exactly. And Batman comes to him because he knows how connected he is. And he also knows that he can use violence to manipulate, to coerce the information he needs out of the Penguin. And so the Penguin is a very valuable resource to Batman in the comics and, in the Batman and all that stuff. So it was just really cool to see somebody who's never really, like, read the books or she's read a couple or like, she's never seen Penguin portrayed this way on screen before. And I was like, yeah, that means they got him right. That is the Penguin. He is absolutely has no time for Batman. It's just so annoying for him to know that even when he's like really, when you're watching him, when does he have time for Batman? He just doesn't. So as I'm watching the show, I kind of felt sympathetic to that time in the Batman, where after Jim and Batman got all the information they needed out of him, they left him handcuffed to a pipe and just took off to go solve the Riddler. And I'm like, but bro, that guy has a lot of things he's got to go do. That's really messed up. Like I kind of felt sympathetic for him, just knowing
they flipped
like
him over, like he fucked up his car.
he did. They did. Yeah. So yeah, I was just really happy to have like,
I guess to that point, my critique, if any, he obviously is opposed to the Batman movie. The Penguin does not seem fazed one bit that there's in his perspective, a psychopath with this crazy ass technology just stalking everybody.
Exactly, because he's got so much going on. He doesn't have the time or bandwidth to waste on thinking about what this guy's deal is. That's 100% the modern interpretation of Penguin in comics and stuff. Is he's just constantly, moving pieces and trying to get up, like a leg up in the world, and he just doesn't care about Batman. It's not like that. Like you go watch the old Adam West movies and like the Penguin or shows, and the Penguin is teaming up with the Joker, and they're like, we're gonna take down Batman. Wah, wah, wah. No, dude, he's got no time for that. Like he's just
he's
not.
Got the drop.
He's got to do the drops. He's got to do the drops. He's got to manage the Iceberg Lounge, and then on top of that, there's Club 44 underneath the lab. It's too much. He's playing a double agent between the Maroni and Falcone families. Although now the Falcone family is completely dead. Wow. Come on, man. And that yellow dress that she wore while she was murdering them all. That was just all of that. That whole scene was just amazing. I loved it. Yeah. So there you go. We love the Penguin. I think we're in agreement, right?
I'm excited for more. Feels like the show has not skipped a beat.
I felt like the second episode skipped a beat a little bit, just a little bit. But I'm no longer talking shit about anything on the show. It's just it's perfection.
Well, let's pivot, because ironically we have in Agatha All Along, episode 6, another I guess little flashback episode on what's happening with our boy. Two flashback episodes.
Very mirrored, right? Familiar by thy side.
Mm-hmm. We get to see how Billy Kaplan became Billy Maximoff.
You know what was really funny about that is, I guess Marvel just decided on Monday that they'd waited long enough to pull the trigger on it. And so they released a mid-season trailer for Agatha All Along that confirms that Billy, or that Teen is the Young Avenger Billy, aka Wiccan. And I thought that was really funny that they like. I mean, yes, I know the last week's episode.
Was it a surprise that he was like who else would he have been?
I mean, we've already talked about that. It could have been
like, but after like
at the end of that episode,
yeah,
right. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a surprise to anybody who read the comics, but I think it's a surprise to anybody who hasn't. So I think that's what I'm saying. Is it was kind of funny that they couldn't wait 2 more days to just let the show explain what it did. I think very effectively, right?
They very much simplified his crazy ass origin story.
You read the comic, huh? Didn't you?
It's Mephisto takes the kids, right?
Oh no. So sorry, yeah, okay. I mean, there's a whole other thing with there's a lot of complicated stuff in the story as well. But yeah, it's like post disassembled is when these kids just end up appearing as Young Avengers and stuff. But yeah, I think they just condensed it in a way that is digestible for the viewing audience. They can still add more the way Marvel always does. You know what I mean? There's still blanks to fill.
Wanda is transformed like 3 times already.
You know, right? Yeah. It's so who knows? Who knows if Mephisto had any hand in this at all? doesn't really matter at this point. Right now, all we do know is that a poor boy named Billy Kaplan died on his way home from his bar mitzvah, and then the moment he died happened to be when Wanda and Agatha, or Wanda had defeated Agatha in WandaVision and was closing down the hex. She said goodnight to her fictional sons, Billy and Tommy, and then in that moment when they disappeared, Billy awoke in the momentarily deceased body of Billy Kaplan. Yes. And there you go. And he said, and he screamed out Tommy. That's the first thing he said. And I was just thinking to myself when that happened, that kid was not 13 when he died. And that is really awkward to jump into a 13-year-old's body all of a sudden. Like, ooh, talk about growing pains, right? When he skipped a few years,
freaked out. He's pretty freaked out.
Yeah. I mean, I would have really liked to seen those 3 years that we glossed over where he just fast forwards to 16, because they had to be super awkward for that kid.
I really appreciate in this episode, you see the events from the other side, right? You get a little bit of it in Hawkeye at the beginning with the Battle of New York, right? And seeing like it's scary. Like there's alien shit coming down from the sky.
Yeah, it made me feel bad for people that live in that universe.
Yeah, and this one you just like. I mean, to be fair, you probably should not be having a bar mitzvah when there's a red bubble close to you, right? Like
true.
Maybe they didn't know what it was, but again, crazy shit's just happening to these normal people that
these people just got over a snap.
Yes.
Just by the way, like a year ago or something like that, right? Weren't the events of WandaVision like
I mean, technically it would be like months after 6 years, but I mean a year or so post re-snap.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like less than a year after, I think
yeah.
So yeah, they've gone through that. They've gone through multiple alien invasions. They've gone through watching the country of Sokovia get destroyed. Their world is nuts. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty nuts. And so then, yeah, maybe that's what it is, right? It's human perseverance. Is they've just decided, you know what? Red bubble be damned. Our son is having his goddamn bar mitzvah. You know, maybe that's what you're supposed to take from it.
I will say that
it looked pretty fun. It really looked better than anyone I've been to, for sure. And the acoustics on that fortune teller tent were amazing, because it's just sitting there in the middle of this ballroom, and you go inside and all the music drowns out, and I'm like, okay. I will say I saw a funny meme that was just pointing out today that, like, so if Lilia had not put that sigil on Billy, none of this would have happened. And then it just shows you like the horrific events of WandaVision, or sorry, not WandaVision, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and everything that's happened.
That is true.
Because Billy would have just found his mom, right? Like, she was still very much alive when he woke up. She would have found him, and then together they could have figured out where Tommy is. But instead, she for some reason put the sigil on him, and she could never find her own son.
That was really cool too, in that moment when she puts the sigil on him, and then immediately she
forgets what it was.
Yeah, she forgets who it's for, what it is. It was neat. It was neat to see that, and how Tommy had like interactions with how Billy had interactions with all the other witches, kind of.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he got to see them a little bit. It's almost like he may have, been responsible for assembling them in some way. That was like the better version of the plot of Spider-Woman, Madam Web. Madam Web is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Remember Madam Web? You just like force these random characters into your life, and you're like, stop it. I don't want this.
Ralph Boner's back. And again, it's played for laughs, that scene. We get Evan Peters back for a little bit, but there are like
it's pretty
little
important
moments.
exposition. It's pretty
important
important
exposition, but again,
Yeah.
little moments of like, man, Wanda fucked people up.
And Agatha
like, I think that was
effed him up too. Yeah.
Agatha
was
effed him up
also,
too.
Yeah.
Like you almost, I don't. Agatha's obviously the villain of that show, but like she's
no, Wanda is also. It's okay.
Wanda, yeah. Like again coming out of that show is like people need to not like Wanda anymore. Like she's just not a good person.
I know.
But nonetheless, it was cool to see that, and then obviously, kind of the reveal at the end was Billy this has been his plan the whole time. He's on the road to find Tommy. Like that's his mission.
That's a good motivation too. I like it. It's pure. You can get behind it. You can understand why he's doing what he's doing and not feel bad about any of the disturbing choices he has to make, right? Because it's like that comes from a very pure place that just makes a lot of sense, right? His mom is dead. His dad is probably spare parts. Literally the only person that he has any connection to as Billy Maximoff is potentially still out there somewhere, and he wants to know. He wants just an answer. Because if he's not out there, then he can move on and just be like, all right, I guess the Kaplans are my family, and that's it, But like, he's gonna have this missing piece of his soul, like until he gets this question answered. And I think that's a beautiful motivation. And I was saying when I watched it, I was like, this automatically made him go to the top of the list of interesting young Avengers that we've met so far in the MCU. Does he not? Like I think he has cooler motivations than any of the ones we've met so far.
Yeah.
Like Hawkeye, she just like saw aliens and was like, I want to shoot a bow. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's her thing. Like that's
Kamala Khan. Like,
yeah, I was giving Kamala Khan credit that she could be more interesting, but like it depends on if they throw her into the Young Avengers, which they probably will. But she's not one of the ones from the comic, you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
So if we're just going for the ones for the comic, I think they kind of shit the bed with Cassie. I think Cassie had the potential of being very interesting, but then we just recast her so many times that it's like, I can't keep track anymore.
Patriot's kind of still up in the air.
He has potential, but we didn't really get to meet him as a person. You know what I mean?
Is it so? I always get what's the difference? I know they're different characters, but what's the difference in terms of power set? Hulkling and Amadeus Cho.
Well, I mean, I guess spoiler warning, everybody. When we finally do meet the Hulkling, he's not actually a Hulk. He's a Skrull.
Oh, but he chooses that form, right? The Hulk form.
So the conceit of Young Avengers as a comic it was after Disassembled, which is a story event where the Avengers realized Wanda was crazy, and they're like, Wanda, I don't know why we never asked you where those kids come from. That's what kind of like it gets, everything's getting weird for the Avengers. Like weird stuff's been showing up, like, but then they're just finally like, they come and ask her the question and she just kind of loses it, and they all realize, oh, she's been crazy. And so some bad stuff happens and the Avengers basically disband. And so during that part of the timeline is when the Young Avengers comic book was introduced.
They step in
and it's these young characters that want to prove themselves, and they are all kind of like designed to be homages to the original Avengers, right? And so like everybody's got a motif that is recognizable. There's an Iron Lad, there's a Hawkeye, there's a Patriot, Hulk. Yeah. And so Billy and Hulkling are the two kind of plot twists that happen in the story, there's 3 plot twists, the third one being Iron Lad, which is the final plot twist. But but the three plot twists are they are not who they seem to be. So Billy, who originally models himself after Thor, and he goes by the name of Asgardian, which they playfully mention that that's probably not the best superhero name, on top of that, the fact that you're a gay man. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Asgardian doesn't sound like the best name. And so they're like, you should rework that. And so as the story progresses, he finds out who he is. He finds out that he's actually the reborn soul of one of Wanda's children.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts embracing the Wiccan inside of him.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and then likewise, Hulkling is just like, he's actually the prince of the Skrull Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And this is him trying to get away from the burden of responsibility of, I don't want to be the future ruler of Skrull. You know what I mean? So like, that's what he's trying to do. So that's why he disguises himself as a Hulk for the beginning of the story.
Because he flies, right?
Because he can shapeshift.
Yeah, he can change.
Yeah. And then eventually,
they're
Iron
an item
Lad,
though. Oh, Iron Lad is a king.
Is a king. Yes, he is a king that's trying to do good. Yeah, and so he actually helped. The king is actually who helped assemble the Young Avengers and stuff. Mm-hmm. But we're not getting that story anytime soon in the MCU. No. So let's just focus on the Tommy and probably the Hulkling. Those are two things we may or may not get.
They're an item.
Yeah. Billy and Hulkling are an item, and then Tommy we kind of have to get, right. Like that's kind of like a promise now. Like, we will not be satisfied in the MCU if
we get a Tommy in this show, or do we get another show finding Tommy?
Well, I was going to ask you that question. Is it I'm going to be pissed if you don't get a Tommy in the show?
No, I'll be more pissed if we don't get Wanda in the show.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I'll take just a voice. Like,
okay,
I'm out there. I'm alive. I'll take that. But I think you need a Wanda, because Wanda ties Agatha and Wiccan together now, right?
Right.
On that note, though, it was really neat in this episode to see Agatha kind of show her hand on the road. Like, she was going to kill everyone. Was it kind of foreshadowed? Yes, but like, evil Agatha came out.
It's the title of the show.
Evil. It was cool to see mustache twirling evil Agatha.
I love that she literally
in this episode
a piece of her hair in front of her lip to show her twirling mustache. She literally
she owned it, and Teen's not phased. Billy's not phased by it, but she also like has respect for Billy because she knows, respects the bloodline, right? Like,
she knows
kill me.
He's dangerous as hell for her. Yeah. I watched an awesome little clip because people are, this show is causing people to go back and rewatch WandaVision. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really close. I'm really close to that. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because Halloween binge. I'll rewatch WandaVision after Halloween for sure. But somebody posted a clip of that scene in WandaVision where Agatha is hanging out with the kids, and we've already learned that Billy has the ability to hear everyone's voices in Westview, right? Like, and he's looking at her and he clocks her as like, you're quiet inside, not like everybody else. Like, he already was calling her out on her bullshit when he was a little kid. So she knows that she should be scared of Billy, because he is a very powerful thing just by birth, just by virtue of existence. You know what I mean? Like, what is he? Like, he's crazy.
He's like, he nebulous being that is all powerful.
He shouldn't exist, right? Yeah. So it's we
never said Tommy. So Tommy the brother, he's speed. He's like a
Quicksilver. He basically takes on all of Uncle Quicksilver's abilities. Yeah. So I think it's cool that, like, we're revisiting this character. I had to be reminded that his power was he could read everybody's mind by the show. Like I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But that's why it's making me want to go back and watch. But yeah, Agatha, like everybody just put all their cards out there on the table in this episode, and that was, that was so refreshing because I think there's 2 more episodes of the show left, right? And
3.
Are there 3?
1 next week and then 2 the final week. But because it's a cool juxtaposition though, because you have Agatha with minimal power, but all the control, and Tommy. I keep saying Tommy. I don't know why. You have Billy with all of the power, but he still doesn't.
But he doesn't know how to control it, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm happier knowing there's 9 episodes because I was worried that like there was only 2 left and next week was the end. But
yeah, they have to show the Rio Agatha backstory, and then
but to my point, I'm really happy and proud of them for doing this episode now rather than later in the season, right? Like because now it's like, wow, we still have a lot of story we can tell.
Yeah, I'm happy with that too. I would have been upset if the reveal of the show is, oh, he's Wiccan, like of course,
right? Yeah. Like it would almost be like dumb if the reveal of the show was it was Agatha all along. But that's what I'm saying. This show is doing all the things right that WandaVision did wrong, right? Which was like we all knew that was Agatha Harkness.
Well, yes, yeah.
Come on. So like it was like watching The Sixth Sense, man. I'm just sitting there like knowing that Bruce Willis is dead, and I'm just like, everybody sees this, right?
I've
like
never seen The Sixth Sense.
I spoiled it for you.
I've known the ending. I want to see it.
I'm telling you, it's super not good if you know he's dead. And that's what I'm saying. That's what made Agatha All Along, the reveal at the end of WandaVision, just dumb. Because it's like, come on, man. We all knew.
She had like 2 or 3 episodes as Agatha, right?
But I'm saying I knew Agnes was Agatha the whole damn time.
Yeah.
That's what made it not fun for me. And so that's why I'm using that as an example of what makes this show so good is this time around we've already got through one of the major twists and we still have 3 episodes to go. I don't know what we're going to do, but it's going to be bonkers. Like that's where so I'm not going to be pissed. There's not a lot that could piss me off right now about that show. I'm not going to be mad if we don't learn, Wanda's back, or I don't need Mephisto to show up in this episode like I needed him back in WandaVision 3 years ago. I know that whatever they give us, it's going to be enough, probably, to carry us into the next time we visit this part of the universe again, and then eventually. Hopefully Jack Schaefer is once again in charge of the continuation of the story, and they'll do what they've been doing, which is painting a better picture of that part of the universe
of the magic
that enhances the previous stuff that's come out, right? Because I already see WandaVision in a more favorable light now because of this show. Like now I'm not mad about Agatha the way I was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, okay, well, Agatha's pretty cool because Catherine Hahn is cool. And I was never mad at Catherine Hahn. Do we have another spotlight?
No.
Is that your way of saying we should stop?
I'll keep going for a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, that's just my point is I think Marvel has proved to me yet again that even when they have their stumbles, and they've had a lot of them lately, they
learn from their mistakes.
They learn from their mistakes and they find a way to keep it going. And that's the reason I don't think I'm ever really going to fully give up on this universe. Like I will say I pulled back the level of enthusiasm after Infinity War, but it doesn't mean I stopped enjoying the things that are good. You know what I mean? So I stopped myself from aggressively theorizing everything that needed to happen. You know what I mean? Because I think they get there eventually. They get there. So I was very happy to see, hey, we got Wiccan. We really got Wiccan today. You know, or yesterday. That's a cool thing. Like, keep growing this universe and I'm excited to see the Young Avengers now. It's not going to be the same as it was in the comics.
Is that a movie for you or a show? Like, what's your Young Avengers medium?
I would prefer it be a movie, but I think it's going to be a part of an Avengers movie. You know what I mean? I think that's the whole point, is it's going to be the next Avengers movie, right? Like with other stuff going on. Well, probably like Shang-Chi and Young Avengers or something like that. You know,
that man's like 30. Haley Steinfeld's like 30 too. So
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's like I saw this awkward video that was calling out the Disney, because it just so happens that every gay character that they're introducing happens to be a minor that can't do anything significant, you know, to demonstrate their sexuality. But meanwhile, every straight character, no, I mean in the Young Avengers, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
But every Young Avenger that is a straight character or hetero happens to be of age, you know. So it's not like they're gonna have crazy bonkers sex scenes.
It's just only Wiccan though, right? Like, who else is making? Which other Young Avengers are making out in that show?
America Chavez is
oh LGBT. Yeah.
And she's quite young. Yeah. She's clearly going to be one of the Young Avengers as well, you know. So America and Kamala were not Young Avengers in the original comic, but they're clearly teed up to be that this time around, which is fine. I think they're interesting enough characters. But yeah, it was just me repeating some interesting call out I saw on social media about like the convenience of it. And we know Disney just in general is very tiptoey when it comes to the subject of LGBT stories, LGBTQ plus stories. So I was very excited when I heard the rumor that episodes 6 and 8 of Agatha All Along have a credited intimacy coordinator. And I was like, ooh, what does that mean? And so we got to see it in this episode. It was a kiss between two.
It was a nice moment. It was a cool moment.
It was a really cool moment. It was very adorable. I loved it. I'm really hoping episode 8 is one between Agatha and
don't make it gross.
Rio. Come on, man. I don't know why it's gross. Come on. I'm allowed to like Aubrey Plaza, all right? You can't put me in the corner, all right? She's great. Intimacy coordinator, guys. Look out for episode 8.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's where we'll wrap it up. We're doing the show next week. I'm not on the show next week, but I think Dennis might have a guest or so.
Or I'll just sit around and talk about intimacy coordinators for an hour without getting hushed. Yeah.
I can't shame you from not here.
It's possible. I might be able to. It might be that the episode next week is on a Friday, so that we can also talk about Venom.
Yes.
That's what I'm targeting for this one.
Venom.
Yeah. So look forward to an action-packed one, and if I don't end up pulling the trigger on that, look forward to a very action-packed episode when Ricky gets back the following week to talk about the finale of Agatha All Along and lots of Penguin and some Venom and stuff like that. But either way, we'll be back. We're always
back. And with that, true believers, enough said. Gotta push the button. I did push the button.
And